What's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Nintendo Tonight podcast. Welcome back again. I almost
did it
up,
again.
But I'm not restarting. Today, I am joined, as always, by Mac and PJ, and we have a banger of an episode for you. Boys, do either of you know what episode is this of Nintendo Tonight? We've come back a lot. We've done a lot of messing around, but
the Nintendo 64 episode.
Is it number
there it
64?
Yes.
Back.
Yes. He's got it.
The podcast will be in
head.
64-bit this episode. We'll all be playing.
Yeah, actually. So this podcast is only allowed to be listened to by 64-year-olds. So I checked the demographics. None of y'all are 64. So if you're listening, watching...
Do you think we have one 64-year-old listener?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
No.
Nope.
Although the last podcast bombed on YouTube. Like, no, not many people saw it. It got less views than
It maybe got 64
normal...
views.
No, it got a slightly more than 64, but not by maybe a factor of 4. Like, we did not get that many views on that podcast. But what happened actually is I saw a comment on it. I'm looking it up right now because I want to give the dude credit, whoever the dude was. But he was basically like, remember how, Mac, you had that Donkey Kong 64 trivia question?
But the collectibles.
Yes.
How do you
yes,
not remember? Yeah, okay.
yes.
Yeah,
No,
I was about
sorry.
to say, you wrote the question.
I remember.
It's like,
I remember
it's like
now.
the Subway, you made the sandwich. You wrote the question. And this guy, Sunstar185, he just kind of like added a bunch of his thoughts on like points we were talking about in the episode in like paragraph. I was like, oh, this is chiller. And then he goes at the end, or I assume he goes, I feel so old. DK64 was literally the first game I thought of. That game had 5 characters, each with their own collectibles, which... I understand. I wasn't even thinking about that game, but I don't know. So old. He says he feels so old. So probably not 64 years old though.
No.
I would wager to guess.
I wouldn't
we
assume
have
so.
one. Well, if
30s.
You know any 64-year-olds and you're a Nintendo Tonight listener, get them to tap in, share the pod around. We're trying to grow
Just
with the
this
senior
episode.
market. Yeah, we're trying to get AARP referrals. So if you're
Jesus.
So this is the Nintendo 64 episode. You do not actually, contrary to popular belief, have to be 64 years old to listen to this. In fact, you can be any age. And that actually works because we're going to be talking about... I'm not even going to spoil. We're going to be talking about some interesting Nintendo 64... it's not like trivia. It's like a trivia game show almost, which I got prepared for you boys. So
Okay.
we'll launch into that. I'm not biting your Family Feud. Trust. I like differentiate.
It's fine.
It
It's
enough.
different. It's different. It's not feud.
Not
Here,
everyone can be
I stole
Steve.
from Family Feud, so it's a circle of stealing here.
You'll be hearing
Not
from
everyone can
Steve
be Steve, man.
Harvey's lawyers too. By the way, Mac, I got news on that. He's pissed. Steve did not like.
He did not
Nintendo.
like that I didn't have a mustache. He's like,
No,
you
no.
went all the way to the point and didn't even get a mustache.
Well, not all the way to the point. We have a bunch of Nintendo 64 stuff to talk about, but also some interesting news stories. You might not believe it. I didn't believe it at first. When I was gathering the stories, I was thinking, these are not interesting stories. But there actually were some that happened this week. And
There was some
that's just-
news?
Yeah,
No.
I mean, like, is it
No.
big, Switch 2, new game, this, that news? No. But it is interesting enough, and I think it can lead to some interesting discussion. Then we're going to be rounding it all off with a fan question. That is our run of show for today. Thank you guys all so much for listening. Your support on every episode is always appreciated. So let's jump in, first off, to the news. First thing I want to talk about, y'all know, we do this whole YouTube thing. We be the influencers, quote unquote. I love that word. Whenever someone
The
calls
creator
me an influencer,
economy.
Oh, yeah. Let's make it all sound as pretentious as possible.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
really, I don't think of myself as a YouTuber. I think of myself as an artist. So,
Okay, Kyrie.
I don't know where I'm going with that. But unfortunately, Nintendo does not view YouTubers as artists. They view them as criminals because Nintendo has been targeting specifically one YouTube channel, but obviously they've done this before. Featuring emulation of their games. So there's a channel called Retro Game Core, which is a big channel, over 500,000 subscribers, and they've had their video taken down. This is the second time they've had this happen, but very interesting. There's a couple of layers to this story. It's kind of like onions. It's got a little bit of layers.
Okay.
First things first, I'm like, okay, so why is Nintendo doing this? I'm a little confused. I look into it, read this article, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they were showing they were basically showing off a device that allowed Switch games to be dumped onto your PC to then be emulated in like a Switch emulator. And that is showing how to transfer game files that you have purchased, but Switch emulation is definitely a gray area, and for Nintendo, it's a black area. They hate that thing, so they just get that all out of there. Interesting point on this, though, something that I thought was funny, was that in the same week, Nintendo said, let's see here, no emulation, and they just completely axed, I think it's called a Ryujinx, the emulator. So yeah, I mean, Ryujinx shut down. All right, that's fine. It's all, downloads, GitHub repositories, whatever. That's gone. So it seems like they're just like back on their BS, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about a bachelor's of science here. I'm talking about some weirdo stuff that Nintendo's doing, because they're just out here kind of stunting on anyone who wants to emulate, which annoys me. And then modding and emulation is somewhat different. Obviously, it is kind of like a circles, squares. Like sometimes you can emulate games on like a modded console. You can mod a console to be able to emulate past consoles games. But obviously, they're not like, it's not like they're the same thing. Like one is, I'm not going to explain it. You all know what that is. But they are somewhat related, and they're related in another way. Nintendo hates both of them. They should really stop making their consoles so easily moddable. My Switch, it's right over there. My Switch I still use. I don't have a Switch OLED. My base Switch from March 2017, that thing can be hacked with a paperclip. As soon as I get a Switch 2, I am jamming a paperclip in wherever the sun doesn't shine on the base Nintendo Switch and just get that thing instantly homebrewed. But so speaking of the modding and Nintendo just hating that, Nintendo also is suing a different YouTuber, Ryan Daly, or Dolly, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but he runs a company called Modded Hardware. I take one guess as to why Nintendo does not like this company. They sell modded Switches, MIG Switches, MIG Switches, whatever you want to call it. They did not like that. And so Nintendo actually confirmed, or it was confirmed that they were suing them back in July.
Wow.
But guess what just came out this week?
What?
Tell us.
I don't want to, I will just make it clear. We run a podcast called Nintendo Tonight. I love Nintendo. I am a big Nintendo fan, and I also have personal incentive for Nintendo to do well because we run a Nintendo Switch YouTube channel. With that being said, I am rooting against Nintendo here in this lawsuit. However, this would be, what's a good comparison? This would be like if Michael Jordan played and the 96 Chicago Bulls, 2017 Warriors versus a Make-A-Wish basketball team. Yeah, because there is just no way this guy is going to win this lawsuit. He has actually continued the business the entire time and is now stated to the court he doesn't believe he's done anything wrong, which I don't know if he's done anything wrong. I don't know the legality of selling modded hardware or stuff like that, but he is representing himself, reportedly going to court without a lawyer to take on the big God. Yeah.
Is this going to be filmed live? I need to watch this.
This will be a legal execution. Again, I am rooting for this guy, but the justice system does not care. The justice system will not root for this guy. In fact, it is arguably rigged against him to an insane degree because Nintendo, with their Wario comical bags of money, are just going to stunt on this poor guy who sells modded video game hardware. So we will be following this closely because I find this so interesting. I was just completely shocked that I saw this. It's actually kind of funny. The IGN article I saw this on goes, you know how they have like the headline of the article and then they have like a witty little tagline like right underneath it sometimes. The headline is Nintendo Switch modder who refused to shut down now takes to court against Nintendo without a lawyer. And then the little tagline is just single player. Which is so funny to me. I was like, all right, I gotta give IGN that one. That's bad funny. Ryan Dinsdale, who wrote this article, you're a funny guy, Ryan, because he is going single player. He is running.
That is a nuts story. That is going into court by yourself. Just I can imagine Nintendo with all of their lawyers all suited up, and he's just sitting in the defense seat by himself. Just like
I don't know.
It's gonna be so ugly. It's gonna be so ugly.
It's gonna be tough.
But I will be rooting for him.
No, 100%. This Ryan Daly guy, I am 100% rooting for him in this lawsuit, but probably not. He said the Nintendo is also alleging that not only do they offer the hardware and firmware to create and play pirated games, which, of course, because if you're selling modded and hacked Switches, there will be a subset of people that use that to play pirated games on the original hardware. Yeah. But also, apparently, Nintendo's alleging that Daly and his company, Modded Hardware, were providing customers with copies of pirated Nintendo games. If somehow that is true, my brother, plead guilty.
For him.
You are cooked. You are straight barbecue chicken. You are cooked, buddy. Yeah. That is not great. Now, granted, I don't know if that's great. I don't know much about this lawsuit at all. Actually, I read 2 articles about it and just thought it was funny enough to talk about. But interesting situation. It kind of reminds me of that one shot in Avengers Endgame after Iron Man's been tossed to the side, Thor's kind of been tossed to the side, and Captain America with his broken shield is just standing up against all of Thanos' army before the portals come in and he gets the reinforcements. He
on your
Captain
left.
America, he is just going up against everything, and this guy does not have an on your left moment in case unless like Microsoft or Sony just wanted to completely back the anti-Nintendo side, which would be hilarious. That would make this into an insane story, but I don't know. I thought that was funny. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on it, because self-representing against Nintendo is a bold thing to do.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I'll be rooting for him, and I'll always root for the little guy in like cases like this, but emulation of Switch games is just such a gray area for me. Like, I'm all for emulation for games that aren't being sold anymore. Like, if I go back and, happen to play a DS game on some undisclosed app that I found on the internet, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But
to be clear,
a game that they don't sell anymore, a game that they do not sell anymore.
To be clear, the YouTuber, this guy was selling modded Switch hardware and supposedly
he's
pirated
screwed.
Copies.
That's
YouTuber
illegal.
who they've been targeting, was showing emulated Switch games and emulated Wii U games as well.
Yeah.
So, which the Wii U is no longer.
That's a scary precedent. That's a scary precedent, especially like
for anyone who makes Nintendo content. I would anyone. I'm not going to point fingers here, but I would just assume that anyone who makes Nintendo related content on the internet will probably occasionally use emulated games to show off that content, because you can get older games in higher fidelity. It just looks more visually appealing in content you're trying to make. I would just assume that anyone who happened to be making content might be wanting to do that. I wouldn't, say anyone in particular, but so it is a dangerous precedent. Luckily, that specific channel was like kind of showing people how to set up the emulators and all that stuff, which we're not like, not that
that's
we
always
would do
been
anything,
kind of a
but,
no-no.
Freudian
I
slip.
feel like,
it's definitely a no-no, and it's just, I don't know, I just find it so interesting that Nintendo, within like the span of a week, they said, Switch emulator, we're taking you offline, GitHub, bye-bye. Guys showing how to emulate older Nintendo consoles along with Switch consoles, taking your videos off YouTube, bye-bye. And then, while all of this is going on, while Nintendo's being as anti-consumer, anti-preservation, anti-modding as ever, this one guy who they started the lawsuit in July, he's just like, I'm doing this on my own. And he just walks in and is like, all right, let's dance. I'm very interested to see how this story goes. Yeah, it's tough. Smart decision? Probably not, but it is tough.
No, it's not a smart decision.
Yep.
But
he's probably screwed, but hey, oh well. I mean, it's rough. I wanted to talk, though, on the emulation point, like, just really quick, just in terms of general emulation. Like, I agree with Mac that I'm pretty much not for Switch emulation whatsoever, especially when the games are still being sold. But in terms of the older games that, some people will go back and play, like, it's really simple, Nintendo. Like, why are you not just putting the games on Switch Online? Like, they've been purposefully very slow with putting all of these games on their retro libraries, and they're slowly releasing these consoles onto Switch Online. And it's just really annoying because we can't go back and play these games. Like, we all know certain eBay sales or anywhere that you can buy things online, Facebook Marketplace, like have DS games, just the cartridge alone for like $200. Trust me, I would know, because once upon a time I bought a Pokemon game for $140 with just the cartridge that you guys both stood there for. So, yeah, I mean, in general.
I remember.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But yeah, just in general, like Nintendo's emulation stance is definitely very annoying, and I wish they would be more diligent with kind of releasing stuff on the Switch Online.
Yes.
But yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, it's tough, especially when they introduce something like the Virtual Console, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I just won't emulate the games. I'll just buy them on the newest Nintendo hardware. And then
we
switch
go
it
backwards.
to a subscription.
Like, why are we going backwards? Like, it's
I don't know.
So
I feel
bad.
it's so hard for them to watch them like get mad at people for emulating their games when they're not selling their games, but that's Nintendo. I mean, that just comes with the territory. I just thought it was interesting because there's a lot of hubbub always about Nintendo being pretty anti-consumer, but this one took the cake. So
we definitely should go back to that article once.
Oh yeah,
hear an update,
yeah. We will be following that story here on Nintendo Tonight. So if you're interested to see how this guy how he fares against Nintendo, and if you're interested to see anything about this, just hear our thoughts on it, we will tap in. So make sure to subscribe. Whatever. Next news story though, y'all remember this little character, Masahiro Sakurai, known for making games such as you know what? I can't actually think of a single game he's made.
One.
Just kidding. He has made plenty of games. Kirby's Air Ride, any Kirby game really before Air Ride. I think Air Ride was actually the last Kirby game he directed. But most Kirby games, or at least older Kirby games, he's the creator of Kirby, creator of the Super Smash Bros. Series, as his kind of, I would assume, claim to fame. Which is crazy that you can create Kirby and then that's not even like your
That is wild. Yeah.
Like, he's him, bro.
People know of him from Smash, but he made Kirby. Like,
yeah,
arguably one of Nintendo's biggest characters.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Yeah.
He put HAL Laboratories on the map. He obviously has also made other incredible games. I will always shout out Kid Icarus Uprising, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But recently, ever since Smash Ultimate has kind of finished up its DLC, Sakurai has been taking a bit of a, I would assume, well-deserved break. I think we're all fans of Sakurai, but I'm actually a bit of a Sakurai hater is the wrong word to use here, but I severely disagree with his mentality and the fan reception of his mentality. When he like works himself to the bone and like gets like carpal tunnel and like works in the hospital and like all that stuff, like I don't think that's good in any way. I don't think it's possible to make creative works when you're like maybe that burnt out. And then I also just see a bunch of fans being like, "Oh, he works so hard for us. Like he is the Lord and Savior." And I'm like, well, he's choosing to, like, he's getting paid. It's not like he's, I mean, it's obviously a labor of love, but I don't know. Something about that has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
The
but
life
maybe that's just
of a troubled artist.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. That's
the Van Gogh of our time.
Well, speaking of, we would all agree Sakurai is an artist, and another reason why he's an artist, to tie it back to an earlier point, he's been doing YouTube. He has been making YouTube videos, as most of the best artists.
It's a hard job.
End up making YouTube. It's a hard job, but someone has to do it, man. Someone has to do it.
Somebody's got to go into the editing bay and slave away.
Yeah, it's a slog they call it the slog for a reason. But Masahiro Sakurai's channel, Masahiro Sakurai on Creating Games, is Jover. Jover, no, but it is about to be Jover. His final episode will be broadcast on the 15th of October. But that's actually what I want to talk about, because is it the final episode? No, because he has announced the final episode on the 15th of October, but then also says that on a date that he did not specify, there will be a special finale for the channel, which will kind of be his send-off to YouTube before he signs off and concentrates on either more game projects or maybe retires. But I would assume concentrates on more game projects, because I don't think he's retiring yet. But anyway, very interesting. I am a little bit cautiously optimistic for what this could be, because I did enjoy this channel when it first released. I can't say I've been watching it entirely throughout the lifetime of his channel, but he has had some very interesting videos. He has one like series specifically. He has a bunch of like sub series that are all like alphabetically labeled, and one of them is like game recaps, where he goes back and talks about games he's made. And we've gotten some interesting little tidbits from that. Like, we learned some stuff about the development of, like, Smash Melee, for example, when he did a video recounting Melee's development. Or, like, Kid Icarus Uprising. When he did that video, he talked about how, like, I think he said something along the lines of, I'd love to see, like, this being remade, but I have no part in it, or whatever. It's interesting. I don't know. There's a special finale coming to this YouTube channel. It obviously could just be, like, one final video on game design, or it could be, you know, a more theory-based video of, like, kind of the emotional and more creative, like, passion side that you need for making games, because that's what this channel's about. It's on creating games. It's not on video games. It's on creating games. But the fact that he didn't, like, specify a date, but also put out a whole tweet, like, kind of hyping up this final special announcement, I don't want to get super hype. I don't think we're going to get a new game announced or anything, but also the fact that there's no date, I don't know what, like, is it that crazy to not assume, but to at least maybe a 1% chance of, like,
there's a percentage chance here.
There's a percentage chance of, like, maybe that something gets announced that he's working on, and that, like, there's part of that in the finale or something. Like, I don't know. It just seems weird. He's been very, like, planned and structured with this channel, and now that it's all coming to an end, he's like, oh yeah, we have some big finale. I'm not going to tell you anything about it or when it's coming out. Here's the last date of the actual episode, and then there's just some vague nebulous finale coming out in the future.
So here's the thing. When somebody goes back and just covers the entirety of their work through diary entries like this on, like, a YouTube channel or, like, writing a book or anything like that, it's got to reinvigorate, like, some love you have for gaming and or creation in general. And I don't think that I feel like the finale, it would just make sense for him to announce that he's working on a new game or something along those lines. Because I honestly don't see him retiring. I think he's one of those people that will work himself till the bone. Like, I would look out to see what this finale is, because I'm very interested to see what it is.
Yeah, I think it might be, honestly, my first initial thought just hearing that is either, yes, he's going to announce he's working on a new game, or it's going to be retirement, which I don't think you guys think is very likely. But, I mean, who knows? I think it could be possible. Like, I've kind of looked into Smash Ultimate recently, just researching it just because, like, I like Smash. Why not?
Yeah, it's a little slight teaser.
Yeah,
light teaser.
Yep. And basically, kind of Sakurai was saying that, you know, like, him and Iwata were really close, and it was kind of like the last mission that Iwata gave him was to make Smash Ultimate. And now, after, you know, all these years later, actually, it was just, I think, the 3-year anniversary the other day of Sora's announcement into Smash, and that being the last character.
3 years is nuts.
I know. And
wow.
yeah, so, like, in terms of Smash, I don't know where you could go from there. Now, I know we'll talk about Kid Icarus in a minute, but maybe something like that could be announced, that, you know, maybe he's going back into the Kid Icarus series, which would be so sick. But I don't know. I think they're both on the table, but honestly, I'm gonna lean more towards retirement. I don't know if he would announce a new game on his YouTube channel. Like,
I don't think he announces a new game.
I think he announces that he's working on something.
Yeah?
I don't even think that. My logic was the reason this thing might have no date is because it's predicated on a different announcement. Maybe a Nintendo, maybe, or I don't know, maybe a Switch 2 something, or maybe just a Nintendo Direct, or an announcement of a remake that he's working on, or announcement of a game he's working on. I don't know. That's probably not the case. I mean, people listening to this are probably like, wow, they've actually lost it. And I would completely understand. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying it is a little interesting to me that he did this whole thing, announced the last episode, but then also announced a special finale, undated, no topic on it, but he just said, please look forward to this. Stay tuned for details. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. I'm just informing you guys on its existence. I don't know. I think it's interesting, and regardless whether it is, you know, as crazy as showing off, you know, or at least hinting at a new game, or it's just something like, hey, this is a really like personal project for me. I've been creating games all my life. I feel like I'm kind of helping the next generation with this channel, like maybe another sort of like retrospective on his entire career. I don't know, but anything, whatever it's gonna be, I think is gonna be really interesting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this ends up being. And Jack, if you wouldn't mind switching it back to the media and putting us on the next trailer, I just have to say this. God damn. Sakurai, please. Make it Kid Icarus Uprising HD, Kid Icarus Uprising 2, anything, please. I am in shambles. I would love for this game to be playable on anything but my... see, my 3DS is all the way over there. I'm not grabbing it. But I just want, like... this game is so good. It's so good to play, but not with the hands on the 3DS. I don't know. I just, every time I can talk about this game, I have to. I think it's probably the most underrated Nintendo published game of all time, which is funny because it has a crazy like cult fan base. I would include myself in that, but I just still think it's somehow that underrated. I think it's a great game. So my dream prediction, or not prediction, but my dream wish list is somehow, some way, anything related to Kid Icarus Uprising. Will that happen? Absolutely not. But, it's part of the job description of running a Nintendo podcast is a healthy dash of delusion when we're getting absolutely no information from Nintendo themselves. So,
of course. I mean, I think everyone would love to see this game. As you said, it's kind of held back by the 3DS controls, and I think a ton of people have wanted this game. Like, if you've ever watched like a remasters video or a remakes video on like the Switch, just anywhere, not even Switch Stop, just anywhere, Kid Icarus is always there every single time. This game is always there. So I don't know, like it would look really good on the Switch too, because like not the Switch, like anyway, you get it, but it
the Switch
would just look so good. Yes, indeed.
You think that's what they call the Switch 2 is the Switch TOO?
I would love for them to call it that. Well, that you watched my video, right?
That's what we need.
Yeah, you definitely had a joke about that. I forget what video, but you have said that before.
With Switch 100%. 2 as in more as well, Switch 2.
I would cry.
But I think that may be worse than Wii U. I like Switch 200 instead of it would be terrible, but it'd be funny. What were we talking about?
Kid Icarus.
Sakurai. I just wanted to yap about Kid Icarus for a minute, and I saw a Sakurai story, so that was my kind of in on that.
I like it.
Anyway, yeah, I'm just, I don't really think there's much more to talk about the finale itself. I just wanted to kind of put that on people's radars because
I'm
Sakurai
glad you let me know.
Yeah,
because like I had no clue about it, but it's got to be super interesting, whatever it is.
Yeah, because again, realistically it has nothing to do with a new game or like a announcement in the sense of like that, but also it's gonna be interesting. Like his videos are always pretty interesting. They get you kind of in the mind of the creative himself, and yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Okay, speaking of Switch 2. One thing I wanted to talk about here is Devolver Digital. Now, we have gone to PAX multiple times. We've recorded a PAX episode here and there. One thing I wanted to talk about is Devolver Digital, who is a publishing studio specializing in indie games. And they were are still, because they're still publishing games on Switch, they're a prolific Switch indie publisher. They have some of my favorite games. If any of you have heard of... Gris is a big one that is pretty famous. The Plucky Squire just came out. They have a new game coming out called Neva, but it's Neva, so I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. But that, and then two of my favorite games of all time. My Friend Pedro is actually a really fun game. It's kind of flew under the radar for everyone. And then, Jack, if you could switch to the next tab, I just want to show off. This is kind of my excuse to just talk about games I love. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know if I've talked about it on this channel. I probably have on the pod before. But
Katana
Zero.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest indie games I've ever played. One of the greatest games I've ever played. One of the greatest stories I've ever experienced. It was one of those games where I put it on at like 8 p.m. and I was like, all right, well, I think I had it for free on Game Pass, and I put it on. I was like, oh, this is cool. Played I only expected to play like an hour or so. The story just hooked me. The gameplay was so fun. I grinded out the entire story of it took me like probably 7 hours or so in one sitting. It was an unbelievably important like experience for me. I think this game is so good. I still listen to the soundtrack all the time on my phone. I'm still waiting for the DLC, which apparently is going to be like almost as big as the base game, and has been in development for like 5-6 years now. Wow. Free update DLC, by the way. So like
awesome.
Whenever that drops, I'm gonna be locked in on that. But yeah, no, Devolver. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about Devolver about, not just to get to talk about some Katana Zero action, although it is an incredible game, and I would highly recommend to anyone listening to this who has not played it and enjoys sick dystopian stories and also just like kind of 2D platformer action gameplay. But anyway, what Devolver actually is in the news for is their COO, Chief Operating Officer, Graham Suthers, actually spoke with Game Reactor about specifically their work with the Nintendo Switch and how the company are looking forward to the Switch successor. I think there were a couple of interesting quotes here that I want to talk about. First thing, he talked about how a lot of the people who work at Devolver, as well as a lot of the developers who work through Devolver, because Devolver publishes the games, so they kind of work with the individual developers to like publish the games, get the games on consoles rather than just on Steam, market the games. We played a bunch of these games at PAX at the Devolver booth, all that sort of thing. Basically, you just said a lot of the people who work at Devolver itself and the developers they work with are huge Nintendo fans who go back to like the NES, Super Nintendo, all the way through. So being able to work on a Nintendo console is a dream come true for them, and I can completely understand why. That's just a sick, it's a sick thing to be able to do as a video game fan. It's got to be like a bucket list item for most game developers. But interestingly about the Switch is the COO, Graham Struthers, I believe that's his name, stated that, quote, "The Switch device, it's done something that perhaps was against the trend. It wasn't high definition. It was a straightforward proposition that made it much more indie friendly." Now, when he says high definition here, he's not talking about like HD, because the Switch can run HD games. Like, that, contrary to popular belief, we can at least get HD. 4K, hell no. But we can get 720p on handheld, 1080p sometimes on docked. And I do like the idea, though, that because it's not like going into crazy 4K, crazy graphics, it's a pretty straightforward, like, developing a game for the Wii U, right? If you're going to put an indie game on the Wii U, you have to do a lot of weird shenanigans to get, the dual screen system with the gamepad, or just completely ignore it. Same thing with like the 3DS. Switch, it's pretty easy. The only gimmick is something you don't really have to worry about. The gimmick itself is, switching the console. You can now play your game instantly in handheld and on the TV, but like developers, you don't really have to do anything to implement that. So I believe it's kind of interesting. I never really thought as to why the Switch had such indie success. Like, obviously the handheld gimmick, people like, if there's a game that you can buy on the Switch or on the PC, and it's an indie game that maybe is pixel art, like Katana Zero, doesn't really take that much to run, pretty small file size, I'm going to get that on the Switch. Ironically, I have Katana Zero on Steam, but I'm normally going to get that on the Switch every day of the week, because you can kind of play it on both handheld and on TV. And then following that up, he says, "I think maybe it's more challenging for AAA to work in that place, so I think we've benefited from this. I think we've released something like 50 different games on the Switch now." That's another great point. The fact that AAA studios are not really coming over to the Switch. Like, we're not getting, Star Wars Outlaws. That's the new AAA game, new-ish, from Ubisoft. That's not on Switch. That was never coming to Switch. Madden, college football, and nothing from EA, really. We get the 2K games and, like, those FIFA Legacy ports, maybe. That's about it. In terms of, like, big AAA games, like, every once in a while we'll get something, maybe a port like Doom or Doom Eternal. But it is interesting to think about how much the Switch is kind of an indie machine, not just because it's easy to develop for, but also because there's not a lot of competition. I had not thought about this in terms of the competition. Like, we're talking about Switch 2 all the time, and the one big thing is we are expecting to get a big power upgrade. Like, I just had a whole video that went out today on the day we're recording this, Tuesday, on the 8th, talking all about the Switch 2 controllers. And I actually am really happy with how that video came out. I think I had some interesting points about solving the mystery of the Switch 2 controllers was basically it. But the whole point of that video was okay, maybe the Switch 2 controllers will have some gimmicks. I talk about a couple leaked new buttons and patent stuff. But the whole reason I'm talking about the controllers and not the console itself is because we kind of either know/can confidently assume that the Switch console itself is going to be another Switch. It's a Switch successor. That's the only thing we know from Nintendo. They said stay tuned for news about the Switch successor. So it's likely, all signs are pointing towards it being a massive power upgrade as kind of the main draw. That is a good thing, because objectively it is. More powerful console means more games we can get on that console. However, if you're an indie developer, you could be looking at this now and saying, oh, okay, well, if it's a lot easier for Ubisoft, EA, Activision, whatever, to port their big AAA games onto Switch, now that it actually has the power, do you think we'll see a bit of an indie decline on Switch 2? Because the Switch is almost synonymous with indie games for a lot of people. A lot of people got the Switch for Nintendo exclusives and indie games. That's pretty much all I play on the Switch. So I'm curious if the power, like, I never thought about the power increase being a bad thing. And again, I'm not saying it is, but it could lead to a slight decline just based on more competition from the AAA scene for indie developers.
Yeah. At first, I didn't think so, but the more you talked it over, like, the games that I have on my Switch are obviously the Nintendo exclusives and then a couple indie games that I've downloaded because I was bored and wanted to play something different. And I may have not bought those games had the bigger AAA titles been on the Switch already with more power. So yeah, that is an interesting point you make. I wouldn't say it would like entirely decrease the indie market on the Switch. Like you said, the Switch is synonymous with indie games at this point, but I could see it being like more of a stagnation than an overall decline.
Yeah, I don't think like, on the Switch, I'm not a huge indie game player or anything like that, but it's a really good point. Like, I kind of agree. Honestly, Mac, I kind of completely agree with you. Like, I feel like it will be a bit stagnant at this point because, I don't know, Switch 2 more powerful. Maybe we get those big games like college football, and people that I know that, you know, may or may not be in this podcast might not need to buy a PS5 to play one game. Who knows? But, hey.
Luckily, that PS5 is getting a lot of playtime with my sister with Persona 5. She has taken up the slack of me not playing on my PS5, and she is about 20 hours in somehow 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
it's a time sink.
I should connect her with my sister because she has demolished Persona 5 Royal on my PS4. She has just brutalized that game. I don't know how many. I think she has more hours on that game than I have on God of War 2018, one of my favorite games of all time. Spider-Man, which both of those I've like completed, not 100%, but I've completed the story and gone back for a lot of collectibles.
Yeah.
Last of Us, which I played. I don't think I beat the story on that, but Last of Us Remastered, Horizon Zero Dawn, and all 4 Uncharted games, which I have played through. I think she has more playtime on just Persona 5 Royal than every other PS4 game I have, not counting like, actually probably even counting like, I have like NBA 2K like 16 and like games like that on there. The Persona games and Sisters, I guess, big combo, because that is some crazy tech. So I completely understand where you are, Mac. I mean, there were times I had to kick my sister off. I was like, I really want to play Spider-Man. This is my PS4. You've been on this for 3 days straight. Let me tap in. I'm gonna need to
start paying. She's gonna need to start paying rent on her PS5 time, because like she'll get home from school.
Oh my God.
She will go on the PS5 and then she will go to bed. That has basically been her life for the past 2 weeks. But what are we talking about?
We were talking about indie games. We were talking about indie games before I made the college football transition.
Yeah, I love indie games. I think the Switch 2 will be great.
Yeah, the last thing.
I mean, we hope it grows with it, but yeah. So true.
I mean, the last thing I want to say is I'm assuming this is all Cap coming from the COO of Devolver, because I would assume that at this point he probably has some information on Switch 2, given that Nintendo and Devolver do work pretty closely. Like Katana Zero was a Switch console exclusive, timed console exclusive, I believe. It was shown in Indie Directs. A lot of Nintendo Switch Directs and indie worlds or indie showcases have Devolver games in them, so they do have a close working relationship. But the COO did say, quote, "We're excited about whatever Nintendo wants to do next, and we have to wait, like everyone, to see what that is. But yeah, we're excited." So I'm pretty sure you'll see some of the games, maybe this one, the game Neva that he was promoting in this interview. We'd like to imagine that it has a place on that platform, but we'll have to wait and see. So a whole lot of nothing in that quote right there, basically just saying we don't really know, we got to wait and see, which I mean, fair. He can't come out and say like, "Oh yeah, I've seen it," because then Nintendo goes, "Okay, so that working relationship we have is no longer," and then the entire company suffers because of it. But interesting stuff there. I hadn't ever really thought about Switch 2 maybe being slightly less. I always just assumed indies would have the exact same impact. Like obviously, if this console sells less, then smaller install base means that the indies won't sell as well, but I thought it would be a similar percentage. But interesting hearing from like the COO of a big, arguably like the indie publisher on Switch. Like it's probably them, maybe Tiny Build, a couple others. Interesting hearing from him saying like, the lack of competition from the AAA scene on the Switch is like a big reason we're pointing to in our business as to why Switch has been such a great play for us. So I just thought it was interesting. It's just not really something I ever thought of.
That takes me back to like the early months of the Switch, like before Splatoon came out. Like all I had on my Switch that were Switch games were Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That was about it. Like you had 1-2 Switch, but how much can you play with 1-2 Switch? The other games I was playing at the time were the indie games that were on the console. I remember I had my first Switch lineup was Breath of the Wild, skipped on 1-2 Switch, thank God, but then I had Shovel Knight Treasure Trove because the Spectre of Torment DLC campaign came out with that, so I bought the Shovel Knight thing. I bought Snipper Clips, which was published by Nintendo but indie game. I bought Fast RMX, which I believe was actually a launch title. I bought that one too. Yeah, that was like the F-Zero. I think it was a Shinen game, but again, indie. That's not AAA. It was fun. Like for that first while, I was buying almost every indie game that came out on Switch. There were games like Graceful Explosion Machine. If that game, fun game, I like it. If that game ever came out now, I wouldn't even know it existed. But back then, you made a video on it calling it a masterpiece.
It was a banger. I was just excited to be able to play stuff on Switch. Masterpiece, that might be a bit hey, I was 14, cut me some slack. But it was interesting, man. Like the indie scene was a lot smaller, but what games could get on the Switch were a lot bigger hits, and now it feels a little more kind of random because there's just so many games being pumped out onto the eShop. So I hope that it would actually be useful for the high quality indie games if Nintendo kind of pulled back on what they're allowing on the eShop for the Switch 2. Will that happen? Probably not, but whatever.
Anyway, like what, interesting. Are the Indie World Direct's gonna stop, or like I don't even know.
Well, exactly. I mean, dude, the Indie World, like those games are all fine. I'm talking about like the I don't even want to say the word, but like the anime 18 plus, I will say. The anime 18 plus like visual novel games that are on Switch that are literally like AI art, like complete slop. The eShop is just, if you ever go to the new releases on the eShop page, I'm sorry, because it hurts to look at. It is tough. I don't know how they
clean that up with the Switch too. Honestly, they got to clean that up somehow.
100%. It is just ridiculous the amount of pure slop on that on that console. But anyway, so that's about it for the news segment. I thought those were interesting topics. I mean, there's nothing like groundbreaking, but it's there's a lot of stuff that like is kind of like about to happen. So hearing someone talk, it's like hearing, we're getting teased a little bit, but like Sakurai's like, we have this big upcoming thing. Okay, what is it? The COO of a massive Switch indie publisher is like, this is why we had so much success on the Switch, and it kind of, he didn't say this, but Switch 2 is looking like it might somewhat contradict it. Like, I don't know, I find those interesting, but that is not the main meat and potatoes of this podcast. We actually have, we have a big milestone today. Boys, it is the 64th episode of our podcast, Nintendo Tonight. And, Jack, if you could go to the next slide, 64, what does that make you think of? That makes you think of the Nintendo 64. Right there. The Nintendo 64 was a revolutionary console. It introduced the masses into 3D gaming, and Nintendo actually nailed that transition. A lot of other developers, a lot of other console manufacturers, I'm looking at you, Sega, what were they doing? They were doing nothing. They were actually probably doing drugs when they created a bunch of those 3D, first 3D games. They were not good. But Nintendo somehow implemented a lot of systems that are pretty like standard today. Actually, Dan Houser, who was the VP of Rockstar, I don't know if he still works there, but I believe he was the VP of Rockstar, has an amazing quote that I've used in videos in the past. Particularly, I did a 3D Zelda retrospective back in high school, actually. But his quote was, I'm gonna slightly butcher it now, but it was basically, I think the exact quote was, anyone who makes 3D games today and says they haven't borrowed something from Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is lying. Those games are so influential. That's the guy who makes Grand Theft Auto. So let's put some respect on that quote.
Grand Theft Auto started off as Mario 64.
Yes, because every copy is personalized, so it's just some weird guy who. No, but next slide, you can see there's a lot of great N64 games. Just a ton of them. But we're not going to talk about every single game. Originally, I was going to do a ranking, right? Originally, I was going to give you a ranking, if you go to the next slide, of the 10 most influential N64 games. But I figured, because that's like, I could just yap to you about, Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, all the games we know and love. But instead, I'm going to let y'all figure out these games for me.
Okay.
You have, if you go to the next slide, Jack, you have 64 questions to guess these 10 games. Oh. This is a 20 questions sort of thing. We're going one game at a time. So the way this is going to work is the two of you, I think, to keep things moving along, we're probably going to alternate in terms of questions here. But what I think the best course of action for us here is you guys have these games are laid out like sequentially, not in any sequence, but they're laid out like game 1, game 2, game 3. You cannot progress to guessing game 2 until you guess game 1. So we're gonna start off with game 1, and you guys are gonna have to try and figure out like some good general questions to instantly start narrowing everything down. But I will say this: all 10 of these N64 games are some of the most influential, highest selling, and most memorable N64 games. I'm not trying to trick you up with any crazy deep cuts here. These are games not only you all know, but if you combine all 3, maybe 4 of us in this call, I don't know if Jack plays N64 games ever, but if you combine everyone in this call, we have probably played all of these games. Jack is like, hell no. We have probably played all of these games though. If you look at them. So that's a bit of a hint. I don't know how you guys want to do this in terms of
so if we're working together.
Oh yeah, you guys are teamed up here. Nice. Your goal is to try and get through all the games. You have 64 questions. I'll be letting you know what question you're on as you go. But there's
so it should take about 6 questions to get each game.
Yeah, you have exactly 6.4 questions per game.
Yep.
I'm gonna say that you don't get to skip any games here, so you don't get to go on to the next game.
You have to go in order.
Yeah, okay. you have to go in order. So starting it off with game 1, how you guys want to game plan this is up to you. I'll let you talk, but yeah, good luck.
Okay, I think we just got to start with asking if it's Mario 64. Like, I feel like that's the obvious number 1.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I will say this game is not your question number 1. Is it Mario 64? No, it is not. These games are also not in any particular order, but they are all big games. So
okay.
So it's not Mario 64. That's a
best
big
selling
hit.
N64 games.
Okay. Do we want to ask if the game has Mario in it?
Yes, that's a good question. With that.
Okay.
So does
the game have Mario in it? Yes, it does.
Okay. We're at number 3.
It could be Mario Kart 64.
It's not Mario Kart 64.
Okay.
It just can't be.
I mean, it could be Smash. I'm just looking at the best.
Smash is the one I'm thinking of, but what other Mario games are on on Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64? It's we got
Mario
Smash
Parties.
and Mario Kart.
We've got Mario Parties.
Mario Party.
We got Mario Golf.
There's a tennis game, I believe.
Do we want to?
Yep.
I don't know. Do you have any ideas, PJ?
I was just gonna rip a Mario Kart 64, I think, because like if it has Mario in it, like there's really only a couple games here that it could be, right?
Thomas is a Mario Kart guy, so yeah, sure.
Question 3, is it Mario Kart 64?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen,
one?
sniped. Yeah, I mean, they're in no order. They're in no particular order.
Oh, no order at all?
No, yeah, they were randomized.
Oh, okay.
So there's no ranking here, no nothing. So this is This is no particular order, but you have heard of all these games. I'm impressed. Hey, you got yourself a bit of a backlog in terms of questions. It only took you to get the first 3, but I will say, having 2 out of those 3 questions be direct game guesses may not bode well for you the entire way through.
I know.
So you want to do a little bit of narrowing down, but hey, you got it right on the first one, so who am I to judge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Game number 2.
Do we ask the Mario question again?
I think we literally should ask the Mario question like almost every time, to be honest.
Okay, does the game have Mario in it?
No.
Okay, that narrows it down.
So this could be Zelda. This is definitely not Smash.
No.
This could also be. Okay, wait, hold on. So these are just N64 games, right? Like this is a clarifying question. These are
yes.
N64
They are
games,
all
not Nintendo
N64
developed
games.
only. Okay,
Correct.
Okay. So this could also be GoldenEye in that case. It could also be Banjo-Kazooie. Thomas really loves that game.
He does like Banjo-Kazooie. This is a tricky position.
There's also Pokemon Snap. That might be a bit of a weird one, but that's there.
Yeah. What is a question we can ask here?
I mean, we could ask if Link's in the game. We could do that. Because it could be Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time. No? Okay.
Well, at that point, it's just, is it a Zelda game?
Yeah, fair.
Like,
that's true. Do we want to go the release years route?
See, I don't know what games release. Are we allowed?
Yeah, you're allowed to look up whatever you want.
I'm on the Wikipedia page right now. Here, I'll send you
okay.
It's in general. There you go.
Here, I'll look at it.
Here, yeah, Jack, if you wouldn't mind also pulling that up just for the viewers at home while these guys are looking through it.
Okay. What if we ask?
Ooh, okay. Here's an interesting question. We could ask if it's a rare developed game because that's a good
question because a lot of them are
DK64, Diddy Kong Racing,
Let's
and
ask
Banjo
that.
games. Yeah, is it a rare developed game?
Question number 5, is it a rare developed game? Yes, it is. This was their golden era on the Nintendo 64. They were pumping out bangers.
Oh, little hint, possibly a little hint.
Okay, let's take a look at these games. I'm thinking we hit. Is it a?
I mean,
what is it? What is the game rated? Because GoldenEye's got to be no. Like maturity wise.
ESRB.
Teen ESRB. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Is it rated E for everybody?
No, it is not.
Okay.
That is question 6.
So we've got that'd be GoldenEye.
It's literally just GoldenEye, no?
It's got to be. Wait, Diddy Kong Racing is KA? What is that?
That is kids, adults, I think.
Okay.
Or kid accessible, maybe. I don't know.
Wait,
Mickey
did they
Mouse
not have
rating,
E for everyone back then?
No, they definitely did.
Okay.
Imagine we just backed ourselves in that corner.
Jesus. Okay, let me check. Okay, so it's either Perfect Dark or it's GoldenEye, and it's got to be GoldenEye.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's ask if it's GoldenEye.
Yeah, is it GoldenEye?
Question 7, is game number 2 GoldenEye? Yes, it is.
Nice.
A couple of things here. One, goddamn, PJ, trust your gut. That is 2 times in a row you go, is it Mario Kart 64? Mac's like, no, and then it is. And then you go, it might be GoldenEye, and you guys ask a couple more questions, and then it was GoldenEye, so that's impressive. Second thing, I'm bringing this up because this is not on the list, but in terms of not E for everyone rated games developed by Rare, you are missing actually kind of an iconic one, Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is like the platformer that is like, meant like kind of jokingly aimed at kids, but like the dude like pisses over everything and gets drunk. Like that is not a.
It's a funny game. It's a funny game.
For E. for everyone. But yeah, no, GoldenEye is game number 2. We are moving on to game number 3. You have question 8 now. You guys are way big time ahead of schedule. Maybe 64 questions was too many.
Okay. We got hella questions, so I feel like we just ripped the Mario question again. May as well.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Does the game have Mario in it, Thomas?
No, it does not. That is question number 8.
Okay, so again, this could be Zelda.
I would be
Ocarina
leaning
of Time
towards Zelda
is sitting at 4.
because here's the thing: Zelda. I think both of them are going to be on this list. I think Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time are going to be on this list.
Yeah.
I'd be down to ask if it's a Zelda game.
Yep. All right.
Question number 9: Is it a Zelda game? No, it is not.
Okay. So this could be also Star Fox. Star Fox is at 9.
Could be Star Fox.
So, okay, what we know for a fact in this top 5 list in like the Wikipedia, it's none of those. That's what we know for a fact.
It's funny, there aren't a lot of N64 games.
No, it's actually one of the
N64 does not have games.
It's one of
Nintendo Switch.
It's one of the easiest game consoles to collect for in that reason.
Yeah.
Recently, actually, because of the pandemic and the whole video game market going kind of crazy with a bunch of outside investors, they're obviously super overpriced now. But back in the early 2010s, even to late 2010s, I remember seeing a lot of N64 full game collections. And every time I watched one, it was this is the first time I've ever collected every game for a console, but this was one of the easiest ones to do. It would be N64 and Wii U, kind of, were two of the easier ones, because there weren't that many shovelware physical releases on the N64.
True.
I'm thinking
this could also be a rare game, by the way, because we still have Donkey Kong.
We hit the rare question, and that'll kind of narrow it down.
Okay.
Is it a rare developed game?
No, it is not. That is question 10, I believe. So now we are
You know
on to
what?
question
PJ
11.
said it could be Star Fox 64, so I wonder if we just rip that.
Yeah, I think we do. Is it Star Fox?
Is it Star? No, it's not. I was like, oh, imagine.
I'm so
no,
excited.
question 11. It is not Star Fox 64.
Okay, we're taking a little bit of time with this one.
Yeah, you've asked 4 questions on this one.
We
already.
didn't ask the. Did we ask the Zelda question?
Yes, yeah, you did.
Okay.
You asked.
Yes, okay.
It's not a Mario
Zelda
game.
Not a Mario
game.
Doesn't have Mario in it.
Okay, so
Correct,
it's not
correct.
in the.
Not
look
a
at this
rare
list,
game.
Mac. It's not in the top 10 at all.
That is nuts.
So, this could be Pokemon Snap, straight up. For real, it literally could just be Pokemon Snap. It's one of the most iconic games on the console.
Yeah, probably.
Because
I just hate asking direct questions, because if we don't we get no information besides that.
I know. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm trying to make this more creative, because I could just straight up ask the Pokemon question, and then we would probably figure it out from there.
Yeah, but if we ask the Pokemon question, it's just gonna be Pokemon Snap, because is there literally? Are we gonna put Pokemon Stadium 2 on here?
Hey man, I would.
Let's.
Thomas is a Star Wars guy. It could be Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
The pod racing one. Hey, you don't know.
Superman 64.
Oh my god.
No.
Jesus.
Sure. Let's ask.
I mean, yeah.
Are we asking if it's a Pokemon game or is it Pokemon Snap?
A wise man once told me.
Is it Pokemon Snap?
Yep. I was gonna say a wise man once told me to trust my gut. So is it Pokemon Snap?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Pokemon Snap. This is utterly absurd.
Huge.
Good stuff. The question skip there is nice. Okay, moving on to game number 4. You are at question number 13. You are well ahead of pace of doing this all within your 64 questions. Maybe I should have thrown in some more curveballs here, but I don't know. We shall see.
Maybe we can ask some stupid questions.
You know what? Let's take it down to 32.
32? All right, you're at. This is question number 13.
Okay, we got this. We got this.
And
how many games is it again?
10 total.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I mean, I feel like our starter question is always a good one. The Mario one.
Does the game have Mario in it?
The game, no, does not have Mario in it.
That sucks. Okay. Now I think
14.
we asked the rare question, because I
Maybe
feel like
I'm
that's
reading too
usually
much
how it
into
happens.
it. okay, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like he said, no, it does not have Mario in it. Makes me think is Yoshi's Story, but we'll save that for another day. Yeah, I think we do ask the Rare question.
Yeah, is the game developed by Rare?
No, it is not. That is question number 14.
Okay. That narrows it down quite a bit. Oh. That now it's got to be a Zelda game, because 2 of the games on the list are definitely Zelda games.
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are there.
Yeah.
So we could rip the Zelda question. It's a little basic, but we could.
Now here's the deal. If we ask, is it a Zelda game, and then pick between the 2, that's 2 questions. If we say one of them and boink it, then that was only 1 question, or we do it in 2. But that may be too risky.
Okay, but what if we get both wrong? Like, what if this is like a Kirby
if we
game?
get both wrong, that is terrible.
This could also just be Star Fox, right? Like Star Fox is not on the thing yet.
What do you think? What should we do?
I feel like I like questions that eliminate other possibilities. So I like to ask the Zelda question, I think.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with that, Thomas. Is it a Zelda game?
Yes, it is. Question number 16 coming up. You're halfway through.
Okay. Now we have to get... It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
Is it Ocarina of Time?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that the question?
Yes, that is.
Yes, it is. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is game number 4.
Good.
Ocarina of Time. The reason I was making that face when I said there's no Mario in it is because there's an NPC at who like looks just like Mario. And everyone's like, that's Mario, but it's not. Yeah, I think his name's like Talon or something. So,
I was onto something, just the complete wrong route. There you go.
All right, game number 5. Here we go.
What question are we on?
You are on question number 17. So this is the first in your back half, and you still have 6 games to go because you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So,
okay.
I think we start the same, right?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Does it have the guy with the red hat in it? AKA
yes,
Mario?
it does.
Well, that could have been tricky because it could have been Diddy Kong.
No, it has Mario in it.
Okay. Smash is still on the board.
Smash
Mario
is
Parties
on there.
are all on the board.
Mario Party's on there. Mario 64 is on there.
Yep. Mario 64 is on there.
Do we ask if the game has Mario in the title?
We could also
but
ask
that only eliminates 1 game.
No, we could also ask if it's a... Hold on.
They're all developed by... they're not.
Hold on. I was going to ask if it was a platforming game or not. But at the same time, that's just basically saying...
That only is 1 game,
Is it Mario Party or 60... Yeah.
Oh.
What about... Hold on. Look at release years. Hold on. I wonder if something's released in 2000, can we ask a decades question?
What if we ask... Okay, this is an interesting question. What if we ask if Peach is playable? Because that either eliminates Mario 64 and Smash, or it's a Mario Party, in my opinion.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, let's rip that one.
Is Peach playable in this game?
No, she is not.
Okay, so it's either Smash or 64. Or Mario 64.
Peach isn't playable in Smash?
Not in Smash 64.
She's a melee inclusion.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, I think we've narrowed it down. So unfortunately, we kind of just have to...
It's a 50-50.
Possibly burn too.
Hold on. You've asked the Mario question and the Peach question so far, right?
Yes.
For this?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this is question number 19.
Okay. I don't want to psychoanalyze on what he would put, but
you pick.
Go for it.
Yeah. Going with the gut, is it Mario 64?
Yes, it is. Super Mario 64 is game number 5. You're entering the back half of these games here. Still all iconic games. Still all games that you've 1 trillion% heard of. Probably, if you combine all of us, we've played. Let's jump on into game number 6 with question number 20. You have 12 left under these new rules, but I will not hold you super strictly to that because that was a oversight on my end. You guys are way better at guessing than I predicted.
So to change it up, we could ask, is it developed by Nintendo EAD? because that would
that's about half the games.
Yeah, because that would narrow down like why not? Let's switch it up. Is it developed by Nintendo EAD?
Give me a second here. I'm actually not entirely sure.
Oh.
No, it is not developed by Nintendo EAD.
Okay, so this could be Smash.
So it's from the way he had to look it up, it's not Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, true. Good call. It
could be Smash.
Yep.
I'm
also Ooh. This is tough.
Okay. Honestly,
okay, he's like a Mario Party nerd, so he would know that Hudson Soft did that. I think he would know that, right? Yeah.
We got to steal some questions here if we try to get under 32. Yeah. So I would assume he knows Mario Party isn't developed by Nintendo. Yeah. That leaves me with not a lot of options.
Because like we can basically eliminate all of the rare games. Because
I think he would know what games are rare games and which ones aren't.
Yeah,
I think. But we were just talking about Sakurai, so I would assume he knows that Smash wasn't developed by them either.
That I will say one thing about your current line of thinking, and this is in regards to your rare thoughts, Smash thoughts, and other potential games. I was double checking to make sure it wasn't co-developed. Was why I was looking at it.
Okay.
Because I know they've done that before with certain titles.
Okay, we gotta ask a question. Let's go. What if we just ask the Mario question now?
Yeah, I think we should, because that would narrow it down. Yeah, does it have Mario in it, Thomas?
Question 21: does it have Mario in it? Yes, he is playable in this game.
That's just Mario Party. That's just Mario
or it's
Party,
Smash.
No? Oh yeah, true.
It's Smash or Mario Party, and there's a bunch of Mario Parties.
Okay, I think now we ask.
Or it's Mario Tennis.
Oh damn. Okay, so
it's not Mario Tennis.
It's not Nintendo EAD.
No.
We could ask the HAL Laboratory question. We could do that.
I think that's only one game, right?
Yeah, that's true.
No. Yeah, it's either, in my opinion, it's either a Mario Party or it's Smash. I think those are the only two it can be.
The tough thing with this is that there's 3 Mario Parties, so we could potentially
he would pick Mario Party
questions.
too.
Okay. Okay. I mean, hey, if you want to go with your gut, I trust you.
Do we want to ask, is it a Mario Party game?
We could. Yep.
Or do we ask if it's a Smash game? Or if it's Smash? What would you rather
do we want to go for the snipe?
Let's go for the snipe.
Let's
go for the
snipe.
snipe.
Is that Smash?
Going for the snipe on question 22. Ding, ding, ding. It is Super Smash Bros. For the N64. Making back some time, only asking 3 questions there. That's good stuff.
That would have been really bad, because if it was not Mario Party 2 and somehow like we guessed 2, 3, 1, like we would have burned 3. That would have been bad. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We go.
All right, question 7. Ooh, yeah, okay, game 7. This is for question 23 rather, game 7.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Okay, so it's
We've picked
Mario,
the top 5 selling games.
I can tell you the games you've gotten so far. It is not Mario Kart 64. It is not GoldenEye. It is not Pokemon Snap. It is not The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It is not Smash 64 or Mario 64.
Okay.
But it is still an incredibly iconic.
What if we just ask if it's Majora's Mask?
Yeah, do it.
Is it Majora's Mask?
No, it is not.
No.
But here's the thing, we got to do that every single time because it's one of them. It's just one of them.
True.
Okay, that kind of sucks losing a question like that though.
Question 24 coming up. You have 8 more to guess 4 more games. This is going to be ridiculous.
Oh god. This is actually really hard. Okay.
I'm curious if you guys can do it. If you get lucky / I'm curious.
It's luck.
I'm curious.
It's luck.
Okay, what games on here could it be? We got to lock those down. Like
I will
there's
give you.
four
I will
games
give
we
you.
gotta go.
I will give you some hints. Every game left, all 4 games left, have been mentioned by you guys so far in this segment.
Okay, so I've mentioned like literally 1 to 15 minus Wave Race 64. Like I've been yapping, dude.
We've brought up Mario Party 2. We've brought up it's not Majora's Mask. We've brought up Diddy Kong Racing, Star Fox 64, Pokemon
Top
Stadium.
5's off the board. Yep.
I would assume we ask. Honestly, the would we ask the rare question? No, there's not. Oh, it could be Banjo-Kazooie, or
I think we do ask the rare question. In
we
that
ask the
sense,
rare
and Snipe.
question.
I think, yeah.
The rare question. This is not a rare game. Question 25 coming up.
Okay.
Shoot.
So
Unlucky roll of the dice here.
That eliminates a lot, though.
That does.
Can't be Perfect Dark.
So it could be
Banjo,
Pokemon Stadium.
be...
It could be Star Fox 64. Damn, it could be one of the Mario parties. That takes it down quite a bit. Of those 3, which one do you think is the most likely to be a top 10 game? Star Fox 64, Mario Party 2, or what was the last one I said?
You said Stadium.
Pokemon Stadium.
I want to go Star Fox 64, honestly. Like,
yeah?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, before we do that, I don't know what other questions we could ask to like narrow it down. Like,
are they all EAD?
Yeah. And it's not rare.
Okay, wait.
They're all in like the 90s, so can't ask the 2000s question.
We could ask if it has a number in the title.
What would that eliminate?
That would eliminate Pokemon Stadium. Or it would be Pokemon Stadium 2 at that point. And that would eliminate Mario Party 1.
That would eliminate... Well, no, that is... There's nothing... There's not a number in the title, technically. The game's just Mario Party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would eliminate Mario Party 1, but it would keep
okay.
Mario Party 2 and 3.
Okay. Yeah, may as well.
Or do you want to just guess Star Fox 64?
See, but if we burn that and we lose it, we're chalked. Because we have 3 games left. So...
I think we ask the number question and then try and snipe the next game.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, does it have a number in the title, Thomas?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So that means it could be Pokemon Stadium 2, Star Fox 64, or Mario Party 2 or 3. It's got to be Star Fox 64.
Yeah, okay. I'm sniping it. I don't care. Is it Star Fox 64?
Yes, it is. That is question 26.
I know. All
right, you're gonna have to snipe one of these, and if I do say so, game 8 might be a decent time to try, because you are running out of questions rapidly. You have 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That is 6 questions for 3 games.
We can do that. Two questions each. We can do this.
Mac, do you rep the Majora's Mask one?
Okay, before we do that, we got to go through and decide what we think the last 3 games are. Okay. I think Majora's Mask is 150%.
I can read
it back.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
You have gone through game 1 was Mario Kart 64, 2 was GoldenEye, 3 was Pokemon Snap, 4 was Ocarina of Time, 5 was Super Mario 64, 6 was Smash 64, 7 was Star Fox 64.
Okay.
Perfect.
And these are all games that I think are iconic and required playing for an N64 fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Majora's Mask.
So
historically significant, I'll say, to throw that buzzword around.
Oh. That's a good one.
Honestly, the only lock on this list is Majora's Mask at this point, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If we ask it's got to be one of the 3. So if we take, 5 questions to get 2 of them, and then we're left with 1 at the end, and it's Majora's Mask, then we just will have it.
Again, we could ask the rare question because that would eliminate 60 like Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Banjos.
Oh, Banjo-Kazooie's also on here because Thomas loves Banjo-Kazooie.
I think because that would fit under the
you know what?
I think we asked the rare question, and then that like,
there's a 66% chance we get it in two questions if we ask Banjo-Kazooie or Majora's Mask. There just is.
So you want to just say, is it? Yeah, okay,
I want to ask, is it Majora's Mask, and then is it Banjo-Kazooie? It's got to be. There's a 2 and 3 chance.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Is it Majora's Mask?
The Mac Gambit on question 27 has paid off. Majora's Mask was game number 8. Majora's Mask. For question 28, you are now on game 9. There are 2 games left.
Okay,
now it's getting spicy.
There's a 50% chance it's Banjo-Kazooie.
Yep.
But
okay.
So here's the thing. We've got 5 questions left. We can either ask the Banjo question now and then know it's the last game, or we can try and get it in 4 and then I think we just ask if it's Banjo right now.
Yep. Yeah, let's do it. Is it Banjo-Kazooie?
I am going to crash out. Banjo-Kazooie is game number 9. A generational run with 3 guesses, 3 games in a row. Now you are on question 29. You have 29, 30, 31, 32. 4 questions.
For game 10.
Right? Yeah. 4.
Okay, so game 10.
Slow.
This is...
Yeah. 4 questions.
We got to narrow it down in 3 and then get it on 4.
Oh my god, I really want to snipe it. I really want to snipe it.
You want to snipe it?
I want to snipe it.
That's dangerous.
If you snipe it both right now, if you guys snipe the game right now, I will pay you each $20. But if you take that deal, try it, and don't get it, and then also do not get the total thing, you each pay me $5.
Okay, so here's my thought.
But I don't know what the game would be.
Here's my thought.
There's not a lock left, I don't think.
Here is my thought. So now the only 2 game. Okay, hold on. Math is difficult. I think there's 2 games left in the top 10 selling, and it's 3. Sorry, it's Stadium, Donkey Kong 64, and Diddy Kong Racing. Now, if
you don't think it could be a Mario Party.
I was about to say that. So you were saying how Thomas loves Mario Party 2, and I'm thinking game 10. Oh, like it could be his game could just be Mario Party 2. That's why I wanted to go for the snipe originally, right? But it could be something, no offense. It could just be something boring like Diddy Kong Racing. That's a great game, by the way. But
I say we don't get greedy, and we make sure we get this. Let's make sure we get
the rare question.
Here.
Smart. We asked the rare question.
So the rare question would eliminate the DK64 and Diddy Kong Racing, which would leave us with, if it's not one of those,
it's either Pokemon
Stadium or a Mario Party.
So okay, here's what I think we do. I think we ask the rare question, and then once we get that, if it's not rare, I think we straight up ask Stadium, and if it's not that, then we ask Mario Party 2, right? Or do we want to ask the Mario question?
Let's ask the rare question, and then we'll reevaluate.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Is it a rare game?
Question 29. It is not a rare developed game.
Oh, my snipe is on the board. Oh my god. Okay.
Pokemon Stadium or a Mario Party, and I'm assuming it's 2.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm doing it. Is it Mario Party 2?
No, it is not Mario Party 2. That is question 30. You now have 2 more questions. Question 31 and question 32.
I did not sell. We can definitely get this. We have
2 questions.
This is so easily gettable.
Okay.
Do we literally just think it's Pokemon Stadium then? No.
Because at that point, it could be Pokemon Stadium 2.
Oh, that would be so annoying. Damn. Folks, don't always trust your gut. That's what I learned today. That's unfortunate.
It's not a rare game.
Yeah, it's not a rare game. It is not Mario Party 2.
Ooh. It could be something sneaky like Pilot Wings.
No, but he said no. But he said like these are all iconic must-play N64 games. That's what makes me think it's not too far out. Like those were his words. So
I'm nervous.
Iconic, historically significant N64 games. That's the hint I'll give. I'll give another one if you get this question wrong for the last one.
What we should have done is ask if it's a Mario Party game. That's what we should have done.
I was clip farming. I was clip farming because if that makes it as a short, like that blows up. No.
Oh
yeah, no, you're
man.
right. You're right.
Oh man, I don't know what the question is because at this point, I'm not sure we can narrow it down to a single game. I think we need to split in half. And
Hold on. What about release years? Hold on. We might be able to do something with a release year.
Let me look up this game's release year. I don't know it.
So, okay, Stadium 2 was released in 2000. Mario Party 3 is 2000 as well. We don't think it's Mario Party 3 though. It's not a rare game. We could ask if the game was released in the 2000s, I guess, because that would like take a couple of those off.
I'm pretty sure that only takes off Mario Party 3.
Do we want to ask a quarters question? Let's see.
Quarters?
Let's see if that's even smart. In terms of like, was this game released in like quarter 3, quarter 4? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, No, okay, because Stadium 1 is April. Yeah, that doesn't really narrow anything down.
No. Okay. Well, let's just go through this list. Okay.
Are we overthinking? Is it literally just Pokemon Stadium? Like, I would be really upset if it's.
Let's just go through this one more time of what the games could be. It could be one of the two Pokemon Stadiums, or it could be Mario Party 1 or Mario Party 3.
MP 1 or 3. Okay.
If I'm looking through everything else, Paper Mario is also on that console. Pilot Wings.
Oh man.
This is bad.
God damn. I mean, the 2000s question would take off Paper Mario, but I just don't think that's a...
No, I think, honestly...
The Cliff Farms didn't work out, folks.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Half of the games have a number in them, half of them don't. So, what it would come down to is, if we said, does it have a number in it, it would be Pokemon Stadium or Mario Party 1. If it does have a number in it, it's Pokemon Stadium 2 or Mario Party 3.
I think in terms
or
of
Paper Mario.
Down, yeah. Well, is that Paper Mario or Paper Mario 64?
It's just called Paper Mario. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, I mean, we could do that if we don't want to try.
Here's my thing.
Snipe and troll, but
here's my thing. I think the two most likely on this list are not Paper Mario, are Pokemon Stadium or Mario Party 1. And if we narrowed it down to just those two, it would just be a 50-50. So I'm wondering if we ask... No, I'm wondering if we ask if it's a Pokemon Stadium game or a Mario Party game. Because then if it's down to Pokemon Stadium, we go with Pokemon Stadium. If it's down to a Mario Party game, we go with Mario Party 1. And then we just like hope it's not Paper Mario.
Okay, so let's actually instead ask, because I feel like that's a little too like generic. I want to be more creative. I want to ask if Charizard's on the box art, because Charizard is on the Pokemon Stadium box art. So that just eliminates one game. Yeah, that's true. I mean, because like it's a gamble, dude. At that point, yeah.
I think we ask
your question. Ask your question. Do it.
Is it a Pokemon Stadium game?
No.
Okay. Big.
Question 32. The final question to get the final game.
Narrowing it down.
Not rare.
It's not a rare game. It's not a Pokemon Stadium game. It does not have Mario in it. Oh, wait, no.
No.
Did we not ask that question?
You did not ask this question. You asked.
We didn't ask this.
You asked, is it Mario Party 2?
Party
that
2.
was a no.
Yeah.
You asked, rare? No. You asked Pokemon Stadium? No. And then the final question is...
So it comes down to, is it Mario Party 1, Mario Party 3, or Paper Mario? Or it could just be Kirby 64. Like, who knows? So stupid.
I recall
or Pilot Wings, or it could be Pilot Wings.
I recall there being some sort of hint once upon a time after we got that question wrong. That's what I recall.
I don't even remember the hint at this point.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No. He said he was going to give us one. That's what
Let me think of one that doesn't immediately give it away.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
One of us has played this game within the past... I would assume so. I believe one of us has played this game within the past few weeks.
Okay,
I'm like 99.9% sure.
Okay, so here's what came to my mind immediately. Okay. So for God, I'm like trying to dance around it. So for the Switch Stop project we're doing, Mac, did you have Mario Party?
I had Mario Party 2.
It wasn't. It's not for the big project, but for a different Switch Top related project.
What? Oh.
Here's the thing. I have not ever played Paper Mario, so it can't be Paper Mario at this point.
I didn't.
Here, I'm gonna say. I think it's got to be Mario Party. I think we were dead set on Mario Party 2 because it's the better game, but I think Mario Party is more historically significant, so it's probably Mario Party.
So you want to go with that? I trust you. Do we do it?
Yeah.
What else could it be?
Let's just go through it one more time,
Okay,
just really quickly.
Okay,
let's look through this. Is there any game on this list that it could be? It's not Yoshi's Story. It's not Mario Tennis.
Or is it?
I don't think anyone in this call has played Yoshi's Story.
Thomas, if it's Pilot Wing 64, I will quit the podcast.
What recent project would have required Pilot Wings footage?
I don't know. Okay.
It's got to be
PJ,
Mario Party 1.
Let's lock it in. Mario Party.
Yeah, it is.
Mario Party.
Yeah,
is it Mario
it
Party?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I've baited y'all a little bit. Yeah, I don't know where this
God.
Mario Party 2 shenanigans came from. I
Me neither. I trusted Mac with that.
So here's the deal with that. I just
farm
assumed that you would pick the better game, Mario Party 2, over Mario Party 1. But I guess it makes sense. Like, it is the original Mario Party, so.
Yeah. Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we got it.
That was
God
stressful. Exactly in 32.
If we didn't get it,
that was hot.
Yikes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sliding that in right at the end, exactly 32. There you go. Yeah, those are the 10 N64 games I picked as, like, in my opinion, probably the most historically significant N64 games. In no particular order, that's the 2 Legend of Zelda games, Mario Kart, Smash Bros., Super Mario 64, GoldenEye, Pokemon Snap, Star Fox 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and Mario Party.
Nice.
I think that's a decent list.
I think that is a good
four
list.
Important,
Yeah.
or 10 important games. But anyway, all right, good job. You guys win. You got it in 32.
What
I
do we
originally
win?
gave you 64.
A cookie.
A cookie. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure.
Yep.
We'll workshop that. Actually, you know what? You know what you win. I will read this fan question because this thing is a paragraph submitted by Chimera.
Perfect.
Who, shout out Chimera, longtime fan of the channel and Nintendo Tonight, and she drew some awesome fan art of us.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a year ago. So that was
We have that as
one
our
of the coolest
Discord
things
profile
ever.
pictures, me and you at least. Yep.
Yeah, I still have mine. All right. She prefaces by saying, "Okay, I have a really long question, so buckle in." But
True. It's good though.
so, as a longtime fan of the Zelda series, of course I love the old style of dungeons, but I also love the open world style games. I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild, and I'm a major Skyrim fan as well. I've heard Zelda fans often go one way or the other, either liking the new formula or the old one and hating the other. Personally, expecting them to not put new formulas out there, I think is a bit unrealistic. I can see how the open world format is here to stay, and I honestly don't mind. However, I really, really miss some of the classic features of Zelda. A linear story without the memories scattered, and the hookshot, boomerang, all the fun items, and a lot of the aspects of classic Zelda dungeons. I disliked Tears of the Kingdom for how grindy it felt and how many survival mechanics are in it. The weapon fusing, crafting, cooking, weapon breaking, it just doesn't feel like Zelda to me. Maybe if they had those features, but they were less of the focus. Personally, my biggest hope for the series is to combine the new with the old. Keep the open world exploration elements. The bite-sized shrine puzzles are great, but maybe just a bit higher quality and slightly less quantity. And I don't even mind picking the order of the dungeons, but bring back some of the classic Zelda elements that really made it feel like Zelda. I'm curious, how likely do you think it is that we ever see some of the classic elements return? I know we won't go back to the old format, but gosh, I really hope Nintendo doesn't just fall into remaking Breath of the Wild with the same faults and flaws. I don't think they will, because Nintendo is so good at keeping things fresh, new, and inventive, but also low-key scared because Tears of the Kingdom still made so much money for Nintendo. What do you guys think? Is this a majority opinion or just a me thing? I love Zelda so much, and I am truly so hopeful that the series continues to get better. Great question by Chimera, and a very timely one too, not Tears of the Kingdom. Jeez. Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah. Echoes of Wisdom just released, and low-key did bring back some of that older Zelda, I guess it was top-down, but it was still open. It was kind of like somewhat of what you're describing, but with the old 2D style. Like, it's bringing back the same, a lot of the 2D stuff, but like the Echoes ability and, the open nature of that game with like a bunch of side quests scattered around, a lot of distractions. It does kind of feel somewhat like what you were talking about. So, this is an interesting question. I'll go first. I think for the foreseeable future, the games are all going to be open world, or as they call it, open air style. I do not see them going back to a full like Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess style linear experience like you talked about. However, one thing I could see is actually kind of taking the gameplay style of The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Wind Waker has a bunch of optional content. You can, fly, swim around, con the boat, whatever you want to call it. You can float around on the King of the Sea or whatever, the Red Dragon boat, and you can go to different optional islands. There's all sorts of side content there, but it does still have the more linear story, traditional Zelda dungeons, and all of that comes with the the classic Legend of Zelda style. So that is something I could see. Imagine if Wind Waker was on a map maybe about that size, but not just sea the entire time. It was open world. So a smaller map than Hyrule from Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but a lot more dense. Mm-hmm. I see. It's a weird thing because I think this, in order to do what you're talking about, Chimera, with the kind of fusing of the new and the old, fuse Tears of the Kingdom moment. I think the biggest holdup there is they're going to continue the open air style of gameplay, and it's really it's hard to imagine them putting out a new open world style Zelda game that doesn't have a bigger world than the Hyrule we've come to know and love that got refreshed in Tears of the Kingdom but originated with Breath of the Wild. However, if they were to kind of take the more linear quest lines and more Zelda elements from the first game, or from the first batch of games, then a smaller world would behoove them in that, because that just, I feel like, works a little bit better if you're trying to be more linear. Mm-hmm. I do think at some point we get this game. I don't know if it's the next game, though. I really don't know where the Zelda series goes from here after Tears of the Kingdom, because I understand your logic of personally disliking Tears of the Kingdom for what you call grindy elements. I personally completely disagree. I think Tears of the Kingdom makes Breath of the Wild feel like a tech demo. I've said that before and I'll say it again, but there's just something about the new abilities you get in Tears of the Kingdom, those being Ultra Hand and Fuse, obviously Recall and whatever, but Ultra Hand and Fuse give Tears of the Kingdom so many more deep mechanics. Being able to build whatever you want, just glue stuff together, and then being able to fuse together the items you pick up with the weapons you get, that is just they're two of my favorite mechanics I've ever played in any video game ever. I think they're probably the two greatest open world mechanics ever created, which is crazy because they're in the same game. But I see it hard to. It does seem like it's tough for them to go. Like, what's next for Zelda?
I don't think they can go back. I think they found such success with this style of game. It's brought them so many awards and so many sales. I think like a new 3D Zelda game is without a doubt going to be open air. I'm a newer Zelda fan. I started with Breath of the Wild, and I absolutely adore these two games. But I do understand I wouldn't say like hatred, but like frustration with the Zelda team for, you know, there's just no way we're going back to what the old games were. And I actually, you said you don't understand how she can think of Tears of the Kingdom as being grindy, but I actually totally understand that. Like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, to even a more of an extent, like there's so much less story in those two games aside from the memories. Like if you don't go and get the scattered memories, there's basically no story to that game. You get the cutscenes at the beginning and the cutscenes like scattered throughout the game. Personally, I like those grindy elements. I like being able to fuse things together and like interact with the world, but it's a much different style of game from the original Zelda games. So I personally don't think they ever do go back, and if they do, it'll just be a variation of the Breath of the Wild formula with maybe more story elements on top.
Yeah, I feel like I almost cut you off, but I think you were almost referencing it about Tears of the Kingdom, because I remember just like, I think we were in call like months and months and months ago, back when Tears of the Kingdom was released, and you were like, you know, this is such a great game, but like I just don't have the time to play it because it's so overwhelming because there's just so much to do. Yeah,
I'm maybe 10 hours into Tears of the Kingdom. I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what that game has. Like, I don't think I will ever have the time to play everything that game has to offer. And in a roundabout way, that makes it harder for me to open it up because I know whatever I do in that game will be negligible. Like, there's just so much in that game that I'll never be able to delve all the way into it.
Yeah. Just in terms of kind of the point about where they can kind of go from here, I think the line of thinking that I took after reading this was just what Mario did with Mario Wonder, because I felt like, you know, we kind of hit a peak in terms of like Mario. Like, where do you go from Odyssey? Like, where do you go from like the new Soup games? And they kind of reinvented the 2D Mario formula with Wonder. And, you know, that game is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like a all-time, you know, top 10 grade or anything. But, you know, Mario Wonder reinvented it successfully. So I think just in terms of 3D Zelda, like I do agree the open world aspect is here to stay. You know, whether people like it or not, like the sales are amazing, like people's opinions, like there's no reason for them to really shy away from it. I can see them kind of tapping into older Zelda elements and maybe bringing in more new things. Like maybe it's a legitimate criticism that Tears of the Kingdom is just such a massive game. It's so overwhelming to play. Like I can understand that, even being as, you know, not a huge Zelda player or anything like that. But I think it's possible in the future for, you know, kind of like you said, Chimera, for them to kind of mix the new with the old for sure, because I think it is a valid criticism regardless of, you know, how much people love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, it's true. But just in general, I think we should expect to see 3D Zeldas a lot less. That's what I know, because I think they're done with, you know, the Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild side of the timeline. So I think next time we see Link in the 3D light, that, you know, that's not going to be a remake. You know, we'll see like a whole new Hyrule and whatever they decide to do. And honestly, probably won't see a 3D Zelda till, you know, the midpoint of the next Switch's life cycle at this point. But yeah, I think you're right just in terms of mixing the old with the new, and I agree with that because it's understandable. The game is just massive. It just is.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, the game, I loved Breath of the Wild, and I loved even the weapon like degradation system. So, and also as someone who was not like a huge Zelda fan, like I'd played Wind Waker, I'd played a bit of Skyward Sword, but I wasn't like huge into the series until Breath of the Wild, I would say. So it's not like I'm missing those Zelda elements a ton, but I completely understand where you're coming from in that regard. I think it'll be an interesting thing to see for the next Nintendo console, but I would not I would not hold my breath for them really going back. I still think the next Zelda game, it's gonna have a completely new Hyrule, because I don't think they reused the same Hyrule 3 times. But also, it could be, it could just be another open world style. The one thing that gives me pause on that is how do they. The Breath of the Wild's Hyrule was already insane. They essentially doubled it with the Depths and Sky Islands, and then also added in way better mechanics with Ultra Hand that really pushed that open style of gameplay to its conceptual limit. There's really not much else you could possibly add, just due to the nature of what Ultra Hand is. There is not really anything you could possibly add that couldn't already be made in Ultra Hand, really. The
only difference I think they could make is an entirely new world, giving Ultra Hand more room to play with in a different location. Like, it doesn't even have to be in Hyrule.
I don't even think they I don't think they bring over Ultra Hand as insane as that mechanic was. I don't think they reuse the main mechanic from 2 Zelda games.
That's a good point.
So I would honestly say I wouldn't be shocked at all if they kind of return to the somewhat more linear style for this next game, at least in terms of the story and the dungeons, because in terms of I don't really think they can improve upon the open world style. They could do it again, but Breath of the Wild was already one of the best games of all time, and then Tears of the Kingdom just took it to its conceptual limit in terms of player freedom, because that was what Breath of the Wild was all about. It was about doing what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. And Tears of the Kingdom with the Ultra Hand thing just completely reinforces that. Okay, now do you want to walk all the way there? Do you want to take your horse there, or just glue some wheels to a giant slab of rock and drive there? There's nothing else you can do on top of that, because Ultra Hand just let the players build whatever they wanted. So I would say I actually would kind of assume they're going to go back to a somewhat more linear style, at least in terms of the dungeons, and then maybe just come up with another Zelda mechanic. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. Definitely one I'm looking forward to seeing answered by Nintendo.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they kind of go in terms of timelines. When we see Zelda, it looks very old looking, if that makes sense, in an era sense. Just in terms of Zelda, I almost wonder if, to change up Hyrule, maybe they go the ultra futuristic route, possibly, and maybe that's something new, because every single Zelda era we see a new Link look, that's just defined by Smash Bros, for example, right? We see Twilight Princess Link in Brawl and everything like that. Then when Smash Ultimate came around, see Breath of the Wild Link. So I don't know, maybe they go the ultra futuristic route. That would be kind of interesting. We've never had that before, so
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah,
personally, I think the next Zelda game is going to be similar to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I personally think they're just going to make it a new map. I think it'll be a new location, won't even be Hyrule. You could say Hyrule's destroyed and everybody's repopulated on a new land or something, and there's some conflict with that. I could see something like that. I personally just don't see a linear Zelda ever being something that's top of their priority ever again. I think they'll honestly be focused more into their 2D Zelda games, like we saw with Echoes of Wisdom.
Yep,
yeah.
With you.
Yeah.
Great question, though.
Yeah, great question from
that was
Chimera.
super fun.
It's always interesting to think about Zelda as a franchise, because they're in such an interesting. I mean, we say this with so many Nintendo console series right now, but it's in such an interesting spot. I really can't wait to see what happens next. So, great point, Chimera. You are definitely not alone in wanting that more linear style and traditional Zelda elements to return. That's a sentiment I see all over the internet. So, hopefully Nintendo's listening for your sake, because then you get what you want. So that would be awesome. If you are still listening to this podcast, we got a long one today, but please make sure to drop us a comment. If you're watching on the YouTube video, drop us a comment. If you're listening on the podcast apps, if you have a question that you would like to be answered, we will answer it for you if you leave us a comment on the YouTube video. And we will pick a question and answer it. And there are no questions in the comments of the past podcast, so if you leave one, there's a decent chance we will answer it.
There's a big chance.
Big chance. So If you have any questions about Switch 2, Mario, Zelda, any Nintendo related thing, gaming related thing, whatever, feel free to ask us a question and we will answer it at the end of episode 65. But with that out of the way, thank you all for making it to the end of episode 64. We had some great N64 trivia clutched out by my two boys fun. Right here. Yeah. That was awesome. Some interesting news stories and a great fan question. What more could you ask for? Yeah, thank you all for watching and listening. Thank you all for downloading, following, liking, subscribing, all that. You know what to do. You know where to find us, and we'll see you in the next episode.